I could still remember that champagne feeling on our first date 7 years ago. Ethan arrived clutching a bouquet of azaleas, pink flowers exploding like fireworks. We talked without stopping as we strolled along the river walk, the evening air fizzing with potential. He made me laugh with stories from his marketing job, silly impersonations of awful bosses. I found myself opening up about my dreams of running my own team one day, spearheading innovative campaigns instead of just churning through data. Ethan listened intently, those hazel eyes focused only on me. By the time we parted ways, my cheeks ached from smiling. This one was different, I just knew. Over the next whirlwind months, more magical nights followed, cozy dinners, concerts under the stars, long meandering conversations threading together our hopes, our histories. I felt certain I'd found my soulmate. When Ethan proposed on a secluded vineyard getaway, the ring glinting like a promise, my breathless yes was one of the easiest decisions of my life. We soon settled into the married grind, climbing career ladders, paying bills, tidying up after rushed dinners. Familiarity inevitably dulled that champagne feeling, but it was a trade-off I accepted gladly. Over time, though, I noticed concerning changes. It started slowly at first. Missed date nights written off to work emergencies. Indifference creeping behind Ethan's eyes when I discussed my projects. Then one evening, the smell of perfume, floral and sweet, lingered on his clothes. When I asked, he insisted a colleague must have brushed too close. I stared searchingly while Ethan held my gaze, unflinching. I let it go. After all these years together, he deserved the benefit of the doubt from his faithful wife. Wouldn't he do the same for me? Little did I know, in just 24 fateful hours, Ethan would betray that faith forever. The conference room felt stifling, the air thick with the breath of 100 overheated bodies. I tugged at my collar, trying to loosen its stranglehold as I half-listened to the drone of the keynote speech. Checking my watch for the 10th time, I sighed. Just 3 more hours until I could catch my flight home. I had almost skipped this conference, with Ethan's birthday tomorrow, but presenting our skin serum campaign to industry insiders was too career-changing to pass up. Ethan had waved me off this morning, ever the supportive husband, the smell of birthday pancakes trailing behind his kiss goodbye. I smiled now, thinking of how I would make it up to him with the expensive watch I'd wrapped up, nestled safe in my suitcase. The speech finally wrapped up and I breathed deep in relief, the conference center air feeling sweet for the first time. I gathered my things, ready to network my way through the mixers so I could get to the airport early. I decided I would keep tomorrow's early return a surprise. Ethan would never expect me home to celebrate his 35th birthday after my insistence on attending this conference. The look on his face when he saw me would be priceless. My phone buzzed and I glanced down. A text from Anna, my sister, flashed on the screen. "Don't work too hard. Can't wait to celebrate Ethan tomorrow night." I quickly typed back, "Who says I can't have it all?" and a winking emoji. Clicking send, I hailed a cab, energy buoyed. This time, tomorrow Ethan and I would be clinking champagne flutes the past behind us. If only I'd known the betrayal brewing back home. Maybe I would have turned right around, but hindsight is clearer than the fog of love and trust. They distorted the red flags as I raced towards my fate, never imagining what the morning would expose with piercing clarity. The clock glowed 2:17 a.m. as the cab pulled up outside our quiet suburban home. Dragging my suitcase behind me, I fumbled to unlock the front door, exhaustion suddenly overtaking my adrenaline rush home. I expected the house to be dark and still, Ethan likely having watched the late game before heading off to bed. Instead, I was met by throbbing house music and flashing strobe lights seeping from the cracks of our closed bedroom door. My first thought was alarm. Were we being robbed? I hurried to the door, suitcase abandoned in the hall. Twisting the handle slowly, the bizarre scene within stopped me, dead in my tracks. There was Ethan, my husband of 7 years, entwined naked with a woman I did not recognize. Her nails gripped his back possessively as they moved together, the bed creaking in rhythm with their panting breaths. Shock gripped my entire body, rooting me in place. Finally, I found my voice, its scream drowning out the vulgar music. Ethan jolted upright, his face draining of color.
Elise, you're home early.
As if this fact was an inconvenience, instead of catching him violating our marriage bed. The woman glared at the intrusion, but made no effort to cover herself. I backed away, bile rising in my throat as the past 48 blissful hours now mocked me. My instincts had whispered of Ethan's distance, but I had ignored them, wanting to trust in us. Now there was no denying the flashing betrayal splayed across my vision. I fled the house blindly, Ethan calling after me. I just needed to escape. My hands shook as I dialed my sister Anna, tears choking my words as I asked her to come. She arrived in minutes, wordlessly holding me as I finally broke down crying in her arms. "It's Ethan," I finally managed. "He's cheating on me." Curled in a blanket on Anna's couch, I stared numbly at the steam rising from my tea. The events of the last 12 hours replayed in an endless, cruel loop, walking in on Ethan's writhing, naked body, his nonchalant voice calling my name, that woman's insolent stare. The betrayal burned my throat more bitterly than any tea could soothe. My phone vibrated next to me with another ignored call from Ethan. Since fleeing the disaster of our bedroom, I had refused his barrage of apologies via voicemail. "It was a stupid, drunken mistake, Elise. Please, just talk to me," he implored in his latest message. My finger hesitated over delete. Anna's voice broke the silence.
You shouldn't have to justify his actions, but have you considered talking to him, getting his side?
I bristled, the blanket falling away. "There's no side to cheating on your wife. I don't need excuses." Anna raised her hands gently.
I know, but this woman, she seemed comfortable, like maybe this wasn't her first time there.
I flinched, bile rising again. The thought of Ethan routinely betraying our vows threatened to undo me completely. Still, Anna had a point. I needed to understand the depth of hurt before I could begin to heal.
Her name is Sophia. She works as a sales rep for my company.
His voice sounded hoarse and strange when I returned his call. Haltingly, he wove a tale of attraction sparked working late nights, flirtation kindling to passion.
I tried to resist, but I was weak. I've felt so overlooked recently, Elise. Your big promotion, all your travel. I lost myself.
His words twisted inside me. I thought back on canceled date nights, my impatience at Ethan's stories after 16-hour workdays. I had been so focused climbing the ladder I had stopped making sure Ethan still felt seen along the journey. I shuddered to realize there was blame to share, but still, cheating could never be justified. Before I could respond, Ethan whispered, "Sophia didn't know about you." My churning mind halted, latched onto this new information. She deserved revenge almost as much as Ethan. I slid my sunglasses down against the glare, surveying the unassuming office building that housed the Viper's Pit, the sales firm where Ethan and his mistress Sophia worked. I almost admired her ruthlessness, poaching my husband without bothering to check if the waters were already claimed. It was a risk leaving such a weak-willed man unguarded. The fault was mine as much as hers, I reluctantly admitted. My revenge schemes had fixated on Sophia once I learned she was as in the dark about me as I had been about her. Publicly humiliating her at the office seemed fitting. I pictured that smug face crumbling when I revealed her tawdry lies to her coworkers, her desk cleared in shame. Ethan would still bear the brunt, but I found security in numbers. I moved towards the building entrance, emboldened by anticipation, but suddenly my phone pinged with an unfamiliar number. I paused, reading the message that froze my breathing. "Elise, we need to talk. Ethan just told me everything." My hands trembled as I punched back. "Who is this?" Her reply blurred as bitter tears filled my vision. "It's Sophia." Wiping my eyes roughly to clear Sophia's name from view, the door I had been marching towards now gave me pause. While my body screamed for the vengeance I had plotted, my heart, newly awakened to forgotten softness, hesitated. Something in her words resonated, suggesting Sophia was as blindsided as I had been. Could we possibly have anything in common besides Ethan's deception, linking us inexorably together? I sank slowly to the steps, revenge plans suddenly feeling childish rather than righteous. My phone vibrated with another incoming message as I stared at Sophia's name, steeling myself before reading her words. I don't know what I expected when I agreed to meet Sophia. Claws unsheathed and poised to attack, most likely. Instead, she sat across from me at a quiet cafe, eyes downcast and shoulders slumped in a posture of unease. My rage had propelled me there, although her initial texts had sparked my first pangs of doubt. Still, seeing her vulnerability calmed my festering anger. I cleared my throat and began cautiously. "I'm trying to understand. Ethan said you didn't know about me?" Sophia shook her head fiercely. "Never. He told me he was divorced, that his wife didn't understand him anymore." She laughed mirthlessly, while I bristled at how easily my absence had made his lies plausible. "I'm an idiot for believing him," Sophia continued. "The business trips, the secrecy, it should have been obvious." She met my eyes then, sadness and anger swirling in them. "I'm so sorry, Elise. He fooled us both." Her words echoed the conclusion crystallizing in my mind. We had both been played as pawns by Ethan. I imagined Sophia's colleagues warned her against ambitious married men, yet she had trusted despite the risks, just as I had done by marrying Ethan those years ago, too quickly assuming we knew someone's heart by the surface they showed. The coffee between us cooled, forgotten as we traded stories of Ethan's lies in the gaps between work trips and canceled dinners. With each shared betrayal revealed, a strange solidarity emerged between us, bonding Sophia and I together in wronged sisterhood and setting us on a very risky path indeed. Curled on the couch with a glass of wine, I recounted the latest developments with Sophia to my sister Anna. "I still can't believe you're friends with her now," Anna marveled, sipping her wine. I smiled ruefully. "Believe me, I can hardly believe it either. But Sophia's as much a victim here as I am, maybe more since she didn't even know Ethan was married when it started." Anna nodded thoughtfully. "So, have you decided what to do about Ethan yet? He's been texting non-stop asking you to meet." At the mention of Ethan's name, my smile faded. Sophia and I may have built solidarity, but my anger still simmered towards the man who had ensnared us both. "Part of me never wants to see Ethan again," I admitted. "But another part can't help missing glimpses of the man I loved beneath his betrayal. And you were right before about hearing him out more. I ignored signs something was wrong between us for too long." Anna squeezed my hand gently. "No use torturing yourself over that now. The question is, can you ever forgive him after what he did?" I sighed, tears pricking unexpectedly. "I just don't know. Our vows said for better or worse, but can a marriage survive this?" We sat in pensive silence until my phone buzzed with an incoming call from Ethan. Still grasping Anna's steady hand, I steeled myself and answered. I tapped my foot impatiently against the concrete steps of my old university, feeling oddly nervous. When my ex-boyfriend Mateo had texted out of the blue after 7 years of radio silence, I had almost ignored it. But his message resonated with the emotional upheaval I was grappling with. "Hey Elise, I know it's been forever and I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I owe you a long overdue apology for how things ended between us senior year. Any chance we could meet?" As students bustled past me clutching coffees and backpacks, I thought back to the string of sleepless nights after Mateo had disappeared from my life all those years ago. I had replayed each fight, analyzed each text, certain I must have done something to drive him away so suddenly. It was months until I regained my confidence, finally able to imagine loving someone new, like Ethan. I shook my head, clearing away memories of the early dizzy days with Ethan. I was here to make peace with Mateo, not dredge up fresh hurt. Before regret could change my mind, I saw him approaching, a bit broader across the shoulders, but the same deep brown eyes I once knew so well. We exchanged awkward hellos before the words I had longed to hear spilled from his lips. "Leaving you how I did was the biggest mistake, Elise. I was scared of falling so fast, of letting someone truly know me. But it's no excuse. I know I broke your heart. I'm just so sorry it took me years to realize you deserved better." As I gazed at Mateo, I felt a tight knot inside me unfurl, a sadness I hadn't even realized I still carried dissolving. And I suddenly knew, with crisp clarity, I couldn't deny Ethan the same chance for redemption. I slid into the chair across from Sophia, the now familiar coffee shop a regular haunt for us both. Between my new friendly alliance with Ethan's former mistress and my recent reconnection with Mateo, so much had changed these past few months. My world, once overturned by betrayal, had found a new normal I never could have predicted in my lowest moments. I smiled freely over my latte while Sophia launched into a story about a disastrous sales pitch. Since parting romantic ways with Ethan for good, Sophia had thrown herself into securing a long-desired promotion. "I swear I tanked it so bad I wanted the earth to swallow me whole," she groaned through laughter. "It was like the universe testing me after everything with Ethan. But maybe I needed a little more humble pie first." I grabbed her hand, my own news bubbling up suddenly. "Well, just remember to thank the universe when the good comes too, because I just got offered an amazing job in Seattle." Sophia's eyes widened. "Seattle? Elise, that's incredible. What a dream. But it means you'd move across the country." Her face fell slightly and I felt a twinge of sadness suddenly too. Sophia had become such an unexpected pillar through my emergence from the ruins of my failed marriage. We knew life had to pick back up eventually. I sighed, uncertainty creeping in. Perhaps sensing my hesitation, Sophia squeezed my hand. "You were meant for big things, Elise. It's time." As my heart wrestled between nostalgia and ambition, I knew I had defining choices coming that would shape far more than my career path. My heels clicked decisively across the polished office floor as I made my way towards the mahogany door bearing a nameplate reading Elise Dawson, Marketing Director. I still thrilled hearing my name paired with such an impressive title. Stepping inside my corner office, I gazed out the tall windows overlooking Seattle's bustling downtown. This view had been my work computer background for months, a visual mantra manifesting this dynamic new career chapter after so much upheaval. Settling at my imposing new desk, memories of the long road that brought me here flashed through my mind, the heartbreak of Ethan's betrayal dimming my inner light. My vengeful alliance towards Sophia shifting to sisterly solidarity, the closure of forgiveness lifting my spirit as I rediscovered my strength, and through it all, trusting in my voice to guide me to wiser decisions and second chances. A knock sounded at my door as my executive assistant Claire entered, welcoming me on my first official day. "It's so wonderful to have you on board, Elise. This whole team is thrilled." I stood, smoothing my dress, and embraced Claire warmly. "Well, I'm thrilled to be here. I think Seattle is going to feel like home faster than I imagined." As Claire nodded enthusiastically about incoming projects, my gaze drifted back to the view of the city alive with possibility outside my window. The Elise staring outward looked different than the heartbroken woman who once peered back at me from inside this very office months ago interviewing for this job. The swirling chaos of my past had coalesced into purposeful forward momentum. While the winding path still stretched ahead, promising twists and turns, in this moment I felt certain I had stepped fully into the woman I was meant to become, the one who prevailed through the rain so the sun could shine that much brighter. And the forecast looked so very bright indeed.